Greetings, magical mavens. It's Afura here, the Writing Witch. Welcome to a brand new year, a brand new trip around the sun, and a brand new series on cyclical living here on the Writing Witch channel. So if you're new around here, on this channel, we love the concept of cyclical living using the universe as our guide. In past years, we focused a lot on the pagan wheel of the year, which is essentially the circular calendar that you get when you look at the axis of the solstices and the equinoxes and then the cross quarters in between. It splits the year up into 8 seasons that are about 6 weeks long. And unlike most pagan and Wiccan resources, I really love to focus not just on those specific days as holidays or as Sabbaths or as days when you have to get all of your seasonal rituals done all at once, but instead I like to look at it as breaking up the year into actual seasons that are 6 weeks long, giving you that entire 6 weeks surrounding the Sabbath to do all of your magical workings or your rituals or your manifesting or even just your slow living practices to truly appreciate the magic of the season. But did you know that the concept of the Wheel of the Year also encompasses astrology? So many of us feel like astrology is out of our reach because it's too complicated, there's too many different moving parts, and it's hard to actually implement it into our real lives. That is about to change for you. In this series, we are going to be looking at how astrology and the Wheel of the Year are actually the same thing. Not similar things or adjacent things, but actually the same thing. It's absolutely going to blow your mind, and I'm so excited to get started. Astrology is the study of the movements and relative positions of celestial bodies interpreted as having an influence on human affairs and the natural world. Some use astrology as a divinatory method for trying to predict the future. But in self-reflective astrology, like what I practice, it's more so about understanding the energies of the universe and how we are a part of that. By living in tune with the energies of the seasons, including the Zodiac seasons, as they're called, we're able to empower ourselves in a multitude of different ways. In this new cyclical living series, we'll be focusing on the basics of astrology, the 12 signs of the Zodiac, and how they fit into the greater story of the seasons and Sabbats. Each season corresponds to a 12th of the Wheel of the Year, and by looking at each zodiac season as a subsection of the 8 Sabbats of the witches, we're able to see a fuller picture of the energies of the seasons and our place within them. Astrology splits the year up into 12 equal parts, each about a month long. Each is quote-unquote ruled over by a constellation that the sun appears to pass through on its journey through the seasons. The zodiac seasons each rule over an area of life. In a birth chart, they rule over the houses, numbered 1 through 12. It isn't necessary to understand birth charts or houses when first getting started with this seasonal living approach to astrology. But it's helpful to know what house each sign rules over, as it helps us to remember the order of the signs. It's also important to note that there are many different ways to interpret and study astrology, including various house systems. In the Writing Witch Coven, we work with the whole signs house system because it's the simplest and most ancient system. The zodiac signs are also ruled over by elements. There are 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water, and 12 signs, so each element rolls over 3 signs. Since there are 2 masculine elements, fire and air, and 2 feminine elements, water and earth, this also means that the signs alternate between masculine and feminine each month, creating a natural state of balance that we can tap into as we learn to more easily give and receive in life. Other than being grouped by element, what makes each sign different is their modality or quality. They progress in a predictable chronological pattern. The first is cardinal, the second is fixed, and the third is mutable. The cardinal sign of each element initiates the start of a new season. The fixed sign of each element is consistent and sustaining, the height and epitome of a season. And the mutable sign of each element is changeable, transitioning into the next season. It took me the longest time to understand modalities, and it's because it wasn't explained to me in this seasonal way. Once I learned this piece of the Wheel of the Year, it made everything else make so much sense. The signs also fit perfectly into the Sabbath seasons of the Wheel of the Year. Each cardinal sign is the start to one of the 4 main overall seasons of the year, the solstices and equinoxes. The fixed signs take place during the height of each season, which are represented by the Celtic fire festivals such as Imbolc, Beltane, Lammas, and Samhain. The mutable signs roll over the final phase of each season before the next solstice or equinox. Each sign's themes and symbols align with the themes of the Sabbath seasons they fall into, and plays a key role in the story of the plant, tend, harvest, compost cycle that all things in the universe, including us, are constantly evolving through. For us seasonal witches, what's really fun and mind-blowing about the seasonal living approach to astrology is that it allows us to very easily learn astrology through our understanding that each zodiac season is just a subsection of the pagan wheel of the year that we're already living in tune with. And it empowers us to observe and engage with this inspiring example of how the cycle of the universe works, directly related to our personal growth throughout each year. This totally changed my life when I learned this, and it's allowed me to experience much more depth of understanding around how the universe works and finding my own place within it. By focusing on the themes of not just each overall Sabbath season, but also learning to embody its deeper and more detailed archetypes, I've been able to see dramatic growth in my life and a sense of balance and rest that keeps me feeling more stable, supported, fulfilled, and connected to nature. And now that I've been learning and practicing this more nuanced version of witchy seasonal living for some years now, I've decided to start really sharing what I've learned with you. For many, my past self included, astrology can seem really daunting, and just because I'm doing this series does not mean I consider myself by any means an expert. I think I'm kind of intermediate at this point, and I feel a lot more confident talking about astrology after living this astrological wheel of the year for the past few years. If any of you guys know more about astrology, I would love to get a conversation going in the comments. So stay tuned for everything that I have learned about seasonal astrology thus far. But there are just so many different concepts within astrology and so many different versions of interpreting astrology that I dare say no one person truly knows everything about it. As you probably know, if you've loosely dabbled in astrology and gotten discouraged, there are a ton of different moving parts, and it can be really hard to know where to start or how to apply and integrate what you're learning in any consistently meaningful way. When I first became interested in astrology, I bought an astrology book and I started reading it, and other than flicking through it many times over the years to continue familiarizing myself with the signs themselves, I didn't learn anything else from that book because I just immediately felt overwhelmed by all of the ins and outs of astrology, and the way it was written didn't explain it in a way that felt like it made sense in my real everyday life. So this seasonal approach to astrology that I've discovered over the years and have picked up bits and pieces of from various colleagues and mentors is now something that makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm really excited to share it with you seasonal witches. I used to feel overwhelmed too until I learned how astrology directly relates to the seasons and started living the astrology instead of just listening to astrologers talk about it. And now I'm passing this powerful magic along to you in this new year and a day journey into what I call the zodiacal subsections of the pagan wheel of the year. In this new Astrology of the Wheel of the Year series, we'll be simplifying astrology by looking at it first and foremost through a seasonal lens, focusing on each of the 12 seasons of the zodiacal year from the perspective of the role they play in the plant, tend, harvest, compost cycle that we're already attuned to through the 8 pagan Sabbats. Each month, I'll be sharing a new video on one of the 12 signs, starting with Aries on the spring equinox, which is the astrological new year. If you've already been following the seasonal content on my channel, this will essentially be a volume 2 of the Sabbath series we've been exploring for the past few years, only this time splitting up the witchy calendar into even smaller and more detailed parts. And if you're totally new to the concept of witchy seasonal living practices, this new series, while it will be a little bit more advanced than the previous, it'll still be designed to be inclusive to newbies. While I definitely recommend going back into my playlists and binging my previous few seasonal series that I've done over the years to get a full rundown of the broader 8-part pagan wheel of the year and how to use it to improve your life, this new series will be revisiting a lot of the same subjects and will always provide an overview of the relevant Sabbats as we go along the zodiac counterparts. So I'm excited to share the first official video of the series in March. And in the meantime, if you're loving the slow cyclical living practices we do on this channel and want to dive right into the power of adding astrology to your practice for a deeper layer of wisdom, I would love to invite you to join us for the Writing Witch Coven on Patreon. There, we stay consistent in our cyclical witchy lifestyles by tuning into a few journal prompts each week that keep us in tune with the Sabbath seasons, the zodiac wheel, and the moon phases, all of which work together to guide our well-balanced practice. Each member receives my beautifully designed grimoire prompt pages, as well as notifications when it's an important moon phase or seasonal checkpoint, so you never feel like you're falling out of tune with the cycles of nature. Depending on which tier you decide to join, you'll get access to lunar astrology prompts only, or you can upgrade to join us for our yearly seasonal living challenge, where we journal and set intentions on the themes of the 8 Sabbats and the 6 weeks surrounding each checkpoint on the wheel of the year. Or upgrade to the top tier, which gets all of the above, plus a handmade Book of Shadows binder and a whole new set of themed information and prompt pages for each witchy subject each month. This Writing Witch Grimoire tier has access to a chapter on astrology, which covers everything I explained in this video about how astrology works, but it's right there in their journal for quick reference, plus information pages on each sign and writing sheets to document what they're learning in their own astrology journey. This astrology chapter is normally only available to the top tier on my Patreon, but to celebrate this new chapter of the Writing Witch podcast/YouTube channel, I've decided to offer physical copies of the astrology chapter to be included for members of the seasonal challenge tier this March. So whether you're a current challenge member or if you would like to sign up before the end of March, you'll receive this set of pages in the mail in April, so you can follow along in your journal as we're learning together in this new series. You know, I believe that journaling is always the best way to fully understand and integrate what you're learning as you craft your path and practice. So this is going to be a great opportunity that you're not going to want to miss. That said though, only the Writing Witch Grimoire tier will be receiving full chapters on each and every zodiac sign as these videos are coming out this year. Essentially, they're getting a grimoire page for everything that's covered in each video in a beautiful bundle with writing pages where they can take notes on how each sign is showing up in their lives. And speaking of astrology, it's that time of year when I'm honored to invite you to join me, my astrology mentor Tanae Stewart, and several other witches for the Empowered Modern Witches Festival this Ostara season. This live virtual event will be taking place March 18th to 20th, 2024, the week of the spring equinox in the Northern Hemisphere, the perfect time to set intentions for the cosmic year ahead. It's totally free to attend and features an incredible lineup of witches, astrologers, and authors. All of us will be sharing our diverse perspectives on how you can have a more consistent spiritual practice and live your most magical life. I'll be presenting on how to naturally integrate the powerful themes of the Sabbath seasons into your everyday life for a realistic, consistent magical practice year-round. And I'm going to go into depth specifically on harnessing the magic of the spring equinox season to plant your seeds of intention for a fulfilling year ahead. Other presentation topics include how to create consistent rituals based on your astrology chart, tarot readings to spring forward into the new year, practical magic for busy witches, leaning into the messy magic of life, establishing a consistent divination ritual, daily glamour magic for personal empowerment, cultivating consistency with the moon phases, divination practices with the astrological transits this year, and the magic of daily tea spell rituals. The summit is hosted by my friend Tanae Stewart, the Witch of Lupin Hollow, the author of The Modern Witch's Guide to Natural Magic, and I can't wait to collaborate with her and the other presenters. Replays will be available if you can't make the live sessions, but you must be signed up with your email to get access. Click the link that's on the screen now or down below in the description to register for your free ticket. See you there! I am so excited to dive into this new chapter of our Cyclical Living series here on the channel. And in the meantime, I invite you to check out this video right here, which dives deeper into lunar magic. Blessed be!